Okay, so welcome back. And today I have one of my subscribers from my channel. I love having these conversations. I don't get to have them enough, but this person was brave enough to come to my channel. His name is Alex, and he just went through the interview process at PNCI. That's Pacific Northwest Carpenters Institute, and that's how you get into the Carpenters Union. And he just went through the interview, so I have some questions for him, and I want to know what the next steps are. So Alex, can you introduce yourself a little bit for me?
Yeah, so hey, my name is Alex. Like you guys were just told, I went in for an interview for PNCI because at the end of the day, I want to be into trades. I want to learn as much as I can about this trade in particular, the carpenter's trade. So this is actually my second time going for the interview. When I went in, I thought I was prepared. I really believed in me. I know what I can do. I was only expecting one interviewer, but there was actually two guys sitting down and introduced themselves. I went ahead and sat down, got comfortable. They actually made me feel very welcome. They made me feel pretty comfortable. Something about me, I've never really worked in the trades. I've never really worked in construction, but that's why I'm here. That's why I'm putting myself out there. Hopefully a first-time apprentice wanting to get into the trades and learn everything I can, especially carpentry, because it's not just framing. It's so many other things. So many other things you can learn. Sometimes you can do concrete work. Sometimes you can put shelves up, install a lot of neat things that you can look on into the future and say, oh, wow, like that's so nice. I'm so happy I was part of that and contributed.
So Alex, for people who want to know, like, what kind of questions they ask you in the interview process, like what, so they can prepare themselves, like, what do they ask you? Was there a rigorous, like, physical test? Was there a math test? Like, what kind of things were asked you at the interview process?
Yeah, so at the beginning, before I went in, I thought that there was going to be a small math test, something minimal, like, oh, they have a tape measure. What's this measurement? Or go measure this. Can you read this blueprint? Show me what you got. And no, it's actually no test at all. It's just like any other job interview. You go in, sit down. One of the first questions is, do you have any experience in construction? For me, I don't have any experience in construction, but I do have a lot of experience in hard labor, the Iron Workers Union back then. And that they really appreciated that I was in the union because it's a commitment. I was there for 5 years. One of the other questions was, what am I going to do to be the best self I can and not let down my team, not let down the name of PNCI? Like, what are the steps I'm going to take in order to be the best version of myself I can be? That was another question. So at the end of the day, there's no test, so you don't have to worry about brushing up on your math skills. Well, at least for me, it wasn't like that. It was just straightforward questions. Tell me about yourself. What are some of your weaknesses? Another one was, am I good, or have I ever been in a situation where I'm in a confined space for a long amount of time? And if I was, am I able to handle it? Am I able to handle the heat, the weather, the pouring rain? Because where we live, it's raining almost for half the year. So you're going to get soaked one way or another. And if it's not raining, last summer, we broke records of 115. So this is just the beginning of it. So you have to really be prepared. And, like they said, this is a very physical job. This isn't for everybody. A lot of people think they know what they're getting themselves into. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, a lot of people just walk. So you have to be really committed. You have to really know what you're getting yourself into and do as much research as you can about the trade, because there's plenty of other trades, and make sure that this is the one for you, because for the apprenticeship, it's a 4-year track plus whatever you're going to do for after your journey out. So it's a long commitment. It's not like working at McDonald's. I'm going to be there for 6 months to a year. So this is serious. This is a career, and at the end of the day, it's a job, and you have to be your best version of yourself.
And I think sometimes people get caught up in, like, they just look at this whole thing. It's a monumental task of being a carpenter, like knowing everything from steel stud to demo to siding, and all these things happen. You're going to learn them throughout your whole entire career. You don't have to know everything right now. In fact, for the most part, when you first start off as an apprentice, you're expected not to know anything. That's why you get paid the least amount of money on the job site. That's why you're going to be like coddled the most. You're going to be watched like a hawk because they don't want you endangering yourself. When you first start using like a skill saw or a sawzall, people are going to be there watching you to make sure that you're not doing it wrong. They're gonna be there to support you. So sometimes people think, hey, these guys have had so much more experience than me. They're better carpenters than me. And my philosophy is nobody in the trades, especially the carpentry field, is better than anybody. Just some people have done this a little bit longer, and some people have picked up on things a little bit faster. You got to think some guys in the carpenter field have had like dads that are carpenters. And so even though they might not have been in the trades themselves, they may have been around tools their whole life. You know what I'm saying? They may have said, hey, son, give me that skill saw, cut this at 30 feet. And then they just, by being around their dad enough, they know these things, a little bit better. So like me, I don't have a father that's in the trades. I don't have anybody that was out here. So I had to blaze my own trail. But that's why I want to build a community of guys coming together. Like, listen, I'm here to help you, so you don't have to go through the same things I went through. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a question like, hey, I had a foreman ask me, do this lines 2 foot on center. What does it mean when they say square this off as a plumb? Like, you can come and text me in the Discord and I can tell you, listen, so you don't feel foolish. Because I know sometimes it's hard to like kind of, humble yourself and say, hey, man, you gave me or told me to go do something and you might have said it 2 or 3 times, but I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? So when you go home, you can say, hey, Antonio, they want us to do this. Do you have any information that you can help me with so I can be, better at my job? I could have that as an apprentice. Pretty much everything I had to do, I learned myself. I felt like an idiot every day. When I first started off, I had, my foremans, they hired me, but it felt like they didn't really want me. I was just an apprentice. They just needed a body because they had so many journeymen. They needed at least one apprentice. And so he would do things like, hey, hold this chocolate on this crow's foot. And there'd be 2 of them. And I would be so afraid to fuck up that I would just pick one. And then they'd snap the line. They're like, bro, I told you to hold the other one. I'm like, you didn't tell me either one. I just did what I thought was best. And then you end up looking foolish. So sometimes you got to have that confidence to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you just tell me exactly what I need to do? You know what I'm saying? I think that's why we're here to help you as this community, as this group, whether it be on my channel or the union period, is to help each other, because you don't want guys to walk off because they're frustrated because they don't understand something really simple.
Sure. Yeah. So another recommendation I could give for the new guys that are going out looking for apprenticeship, starting to have interest in the trades, there are plenty of other options out there. If you don't have any construction experience, there are also a lot of safety courses you can take, a lot of construction safety courses you can take. There's a lot of other small 3-week, 9 weeks, 1 month, 2 month pre-apprenticeship courses that you can take that will really open a lot of doors for you, really open your eyes to see how it is to actually be working out on the site. Really get to know the whole environment, the whole politics, how it is that if you're late, what to expect, So it's not like, oh, this is my first time being an apprentice or being in construction in general. So I just show up to the site and I'm like, I don't know where to go. That's why those courses are there, You get hands-on, you actually get to go on the site and live it like if you were already an apprentice. So that will really benefit you in the long run if you really plan on staying this and trying your best and being out there. And
so I know if you're younger guys, whether you're like under 18 or maybe you're trying to figure things out, there's still programs like Job Corp where you can go there into the carpentry field, electrical field. You can kind of test things out, welders, see what you like. All those programs are there. There's also things called like Contracting Hope. There's different programs. You have to look for it though. That's the thing. Is nobody's gonna make this like super easy to like, hey, come join the carpenters or come join the trades and make, $27 an hour starting off. No high school education, no education. Only thing you need is a GED or high school education. No one's gonna make this super easy for you, because if they did, everybody would do it, right? Obviously, the work is hard and there's that barrier, but you have to do a little research. I mean, we all have, microcomputers in our pocket. If you can't Google and figure out, okay, what kind of pre-apprenticeship programs can I take right now? You're gonna have a tough time, bro. Like this, the internet is super expansive. Google is super expansive. You can find information out if you want to find it. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna take putting that extra effort. And I mean, this career is worth it. You know what I'm saying? Even the fact that, I'm able to provide for my family, that's enough. Like that's enough for me to want to go and take the extra steps of figuring out what I need to do, whether it be a pre-apprenticeship program or going to my local and becoming a carpenter's helper. That's also an option, so that you're not waiting on your hands. Go down to your local, whether it be in Oregon, local 1503. You go down there, you say, hey, I want to become a carpenter's helper. You'll pay, I think, 3 months dues, and that'll be about $100. And then now you have access to go to the job sites and say, listen, I'm in the union. I'm not an apprentice yet, but I'm able to be hired on as a carpenter's helper. And a lot of companies will accept you as a carpenter's helper because pretty much you're going to be cheaper labor. And all you're going to do is do the basic things: sweep, clean, strip forms, those kind of things that an apprentice might do as a first term or second term. You would do the exact same things. And so that's why there's also so many different routes. Don't get discouraged if things don't go perfectly the first time, especially like if you're a dude right now, it's harder to get in the union than if you're a woman. I want to be honest with you, because there's so few women that want to get into the carpenter's field. It's going to be a little more difficult. You're going to have to take extra steps if you don't get right in, if you have no previous experience. But this is worth fighting for. This is worth fighting for your family. It's worth fighting for just for a better life overall. So just take those small steps, whether it be Google or talking to people that are in the trades themselves. And then also another thing, if you become a carpenter's helper, you're able to go to the union meetings. And by going to the union meetings, you have access to so many different guys, resources. So few guys take advantage of the things that are given to you that make life so much easier. You can do it by yourself, or you can try to do it with a team. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important that you utilize the resources that you have.
Definitely, yeah. And something else I'd like to point out is when you're going to the interview, be yourself. Don't say something like, oh yeah, I'm really good with tools. I'm really good with building this, building that. I'm good with using a hammer when you've never even used a hammer, because right away, these guys have been doing it for a very long time and they're going to know if you're lying, if you're being honest. So just be yourself. That's why you're there to learn. That's why you're there to apprentice. And at the end of the day, just show up, do the best you can, and do the same thing all over again the next day.
This whole trade and whole field is the people who last the longest in companies, the people who constantly employed, are those who show up every day willing to work. You don't have to be the best carpenter, bro. Like there's only like 5% of people who are just like crazy good carpenters. Most guys are going to be normal carpenters. They do the job that's required. They try their best, and they're to be normal carpenters. Those guys who stay on the longest are the guys who come in every day, who show up on time, who don't show up late, who don't just call in sick randomly like once a week. I used to work with guys that like every Monday they'd be gone, and everybody would snicker and laugh, but it's like, it's not a joke, because when the layoffs come, you're fired, bro. Like sometimes jobs are so big that they need to see bodies. And they'll keep pieces of shit around for a long time because they just need a body. They just need someone to do something. But then once times get tough, you're going to be fired. You're going to be laid off because people depend on you. Some companies run real small margins, right? They might have, if a job requires 5 guys, they have 4.5. You know what I'm saying? They might have guys move from one job to another. So if you're not coming in, now they're down a guy. Now they might not be able to do certain tasks anymore. So you have to be dependable. You have to show up every day. And that's the difference between a good carpenter and a great carpenter. It's not about just how good you can measure tape, because if you're not there, if you're not available, you're not helping anybody. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's so important too, is be somebody who's going to be dependable and constantly ready to work on time. And you will go so much further than someone who's just like an excellent carpenter, but there half the time and is giving half-ass effort whenever they choose to. You know what I'm saying? So do you have any questions for me about like what I do on a daily basis, or like jobs that I've done. Do you have any questions for me about the carpenter field?
Yeah, well, you did mention layoffs. So some people might not, that are new to the industry, might think it's, I have job security for the rest of the year. But is that how it works? Or is it sometimes, we have this job and then we have to wait until a company gets on something bigger or something that they like, something that's distance, or you know what I mean?
For me, like I'm at a special situation because I work for a smaller company. So they kept me working the whole time through. I've never been laid off. I started in 2017. I've never been laid off ever. Like I've never had any extended amount of time between days. There's been a couple times where the job's been like kind of really slow and they're like, hey, if you want to, you can take a couple of days off, your choice. If not, we'll move you somewhere else. And so that's always an option. But other big companies like Hoffman, Perlo, and this area, they do hire a whole bunch of guys and they will lay guys off. But if you are a quality hand, if you are consistent, a lot of times they'll just move you to another job. And that happens all the time. Now, there are times where people will get laid off and you will kind of trickle from like one company to another, you know what I'm saying? So that is industry standard. And that's why it's also important that when you do go to meetings, you meet people. When you go to the training center, you meet guys. You see, okay, in your class, you're going to see the guys who are really good carpenters. Even starting off, they're going to be more like on time, prompt. They're going to listen. You're going to see them like be the people who are completing their projects the quickest. Make sure you get all the information from those guys. Get their numbers. If you were laid off, you can text them, hey bro, do you have any work over here? Do you work over there? A lot of the best guys are usually gonna have, the supervisor's ear, the foreman's ear, so they can get you on. You know what I'm saying? So that's important that you have a Rolodex of guys. You're constantly getting guys information so that, my advice is get their name and then write their company next to their name so you know where they're at, what they're doing. And every month, dispatch puts out a list of where the jobs are. So, yes, it is. It's not as secure as some, but we make good money and plus unemployment that you should be able to weather, whether it be a couple weeks you're getting laid off and you come back onto it.
Yeah, just make sure you have a safety net in case things were to happen, get crazy.
The advice that most apprentices get, like, don't get bills that are going to extend past what your unemployment is. So your unemployment for a month is going to be around like $2,000, right? So make sure you're not overextending yourself to the point that if you have to pay way more over $2,000, then you're going to be fucked. You know what I'm saying? So don't get a big ass truck, a big ass house payment, and not have any kind of safety net or any kind of money in savings where you're kind of putting yourself out there to be overextending yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't overdo it. Always think ahead. Make sure that.
Sure. So, do you have any other questions for me?
I think we covered most of them. Something like you said, I did get a dispatch report, and one of the first things I thought was look for the big companies like Hoffman or Perlo. That was my go-to. Is there a way of knowing like, oh, this is a good company, this is a all right company, oh no, this company really has a bad rep, like for all the new guys going in? Is there a way of knowing, or is it just kind of like call these guys, see what happens, go from there?
Well, it's a little more difficult you're not going to know because you're just starting, right? But as you go your classes, you're going to talk to guys like, hey, what's it like working for Marion? They're going to tell you, man, they fucking yell a lot at you. They're fucking a lot of fucking nepotism. There's a lot of family that work together, and they're going to tell you. Now, I don't know for a fact what Marion's like or Perlo is like. I've worked for one company my whole career. So besides, I worked for LaRusso for a little bit when I first started. That was a concrete company. But for the most part, you're going to find out through other guys who'll tell you, hey, this company's really good. I've heard a lot of good things about Howard is Right. I've heard a lot of good things about Hoffman on some of the bigger jobs. I know Whitaker Ellis has a lot of concrete. So these are things that guys who are in your in-group are going to tell you, like, hey, this company is good on this crew. It's also about who you're working with in the company. Sometimes, with these big companies like Anderson or Hoffman, one form may be really good and one might not be. So you also got to figure that too in the whole scheme of things. But yeah, I think for the most part, it's going to be fairly similar throughout the company. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, that just about covers all my questions I had.
Well, I appreciate you, Allison. Thank you for coming on. If you guys have any more questions for me, or if you want to hear more information, or if you want to come on and talk to me, we can have a live Q&A also. Alex, I appreciate you, and I'm gonna see you guys later. Thank you.